mother, it's time for another episode of Birds with Friends. Just the
duo
of feathery brethren, weathering any season to see the Eagles eating teams like Scrammy's top with cheese. It's Philadelphia. Both and Zach kicking it cooler than
two.
Penguins till Zach runs off with his valet keys. He's a real nuanced goose. Pull up a branch, get loose. It's time for some juice on some Birds with Friends. The early bird gets the worm, but prefers getting turned like a turn on some Birds with Friends. Both and Zach coming at you with stats and things flapping.
We are going to rip out the hearts of other podcasts. We are going to bite off their eyeballs. We're going to start every segment watching the scene from The Last of the Mohicans where the guy takes a bite out of the other guy's heart. We may not be good, but we're going to be nasty. We're going to reflect the blue-collar nature of this city. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Birds with Friends Wednesday evening. Bo Wulf, Zach Berman, Marissa Dunn. We've got our Eagles season preview predictions, our crystal balled Eagle predictions draft to get to. We are going to be joined by the king of the Denizens, Deniz Selman. Very much looking forward to that. But before we do that, we got to, shoot the S at the top of the show. Get to the news from the day and just see how Marissa's doing. Marissa, what's new?
Not much. Excited that, a few more days. We got football tomorrow night, so can't wait for that Bills-Rams matchup. So I'm excited we have Deniz on. Like, this is great. Feeling very excited.
Zach, how are you?
I sound like Zach.
Doing great. Excited for this pod. I've seen, and I say this respectfully, I've probably seen more of you guys during the past 2 days than I've seen my family. I just got home 7 minutes before I jumped on here, and I haven't eaten today other than like an excuse of a salad. Not an excuse of a salad. It was a good salad. Just it wasn't plentiful. So I'm hungry, and I have a lot of thoughts ruminating from the car ride, and so I am ready to get rolling for this pod. I have my list of, I don't want to call them half-baked expectations, but I don't know if the purpose of the game that we're playing is to try to get points or to try to give something that we realistically think is going to happen. So okay. So yeah, so I have some a little out there and some a little in there, but
now we're talking.
I'm excited for this pod.
Mistresses of Detroit, watch out. Zach is coming this weekend. All right. Well, speaking of that,
no, there's nothing like that.
It is a game week, and so we send it over to the stone cold newsman who's been grinding it out every hour of the day at the NovaCare Complex, Zach Berman on the scene.
The Philadelphia Eagles returned to practice on Wednesday, the first practice of game week, first game week of the season, and health report looks pretty good so far. The Eagles had Miles Sanders out there as a full participant in practice. He has the hamstring injury, of course, but looks like he's going to be good to go. Derek Burnett, Javon Hargrave, and Josiah Scott were limited at practice, but nobody on the, 52-man roster now, because they have an open spot after putting Andre Dillard on IR. No one on the 52-man roster was absent. And the other key thing to mention is that Jason Kelce, not even on the injury on the report, says he's going to play in Detroit. Had many things to say today. We can discuss that, and you can read about that on The Athletic as well. And the Eagles made a few minor practice squad transactions. They signed.
Not minor to those people's families.
No, that's true. Good point. Signed Alden Tate, and is it Dalton Keene?
Dalton Keene. I like the Dalton Keene coming in.
Yeah, so this is a player with draft pedigree. Was a third-round pick by the Patriots. Drafted, I think, 2 or 3 spots ahead of Davion Taylor. And as the Eagles continue to add players with draft pedigree to the bottom of the roster and to the practice squad, still
was an overdraft at that spot,
yes,
as many Patriots players are.
Yes, well said. Or I shouldn't say well said, but accurate point. And we spoke to Dan Campbell for a bit. And Nick Sirianni had his press conference.
Couldn't barely hear a word he was saying. What was up with that?
He's been screaming a lot, right?
Okay.
So maybe he was saving his voice. Nick Sirianni, we shouldn't bury the lead, had his press conference today and essentially did a good job stumping for Larry Karras to make the College Football Hall of Fame, right? Because he was
Is that the lead? That's the lead we buried.
He's very proud of his college coach and called him the best coach in college football history, which I got to say, Nick Saban might have something to say about that one.
I would say Brian Flynn might have something to say about that.
But what else did he say? They're tunnel visioned on this game here. He didn't offer much as far as injury or lineup updates. We'll see what's going to happen at returner. That's really the big question, and we can get
team
into
seems
that.
To be very worried about giving that away,
and we'll get more into that in our game preview pod about what we expect to occur there. So this is a heavy podcast week, but that's the update from the NovaCare complex today. Back to you in the studio, Bo.
Hey, Zach, while I have you, is there any connection you think possibly between Derek Barnett's rib injury and Andre Dillard's broken forearm?
It just happened in practice. That is all we know. It just happened in practice, in a normal football play in practice.
All right. Thanks, Zach. Spend some time with your family.
I can't wait, actually. I love spending time with my family.
Except right after they're born.
No, I'm there when I'm there right after they're born. The next day, I went to an interview.
Well, that's when you get out of town. That's my work here is done. That's it. I'm good.
Not at all. Not at all.
Zach, somebody dropping in with a comment from the chats. They want you to know that your skin looks great today.
Thank you. I've never gotten that compliment. And I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I hope my information is good today.
Okay. Let's talk about a few things, Zach, before we get to Deniz, from things that we saw today and heard today. You mentioned the Jason Kelce press conference, which I was not in on. You were, and you texted me. You said, "I think I'm going to write live off Kelce. He's rolling." So tell me, what was he rolling about?
Yeah. So Jason Kelce in year 12 he's acutely aware of,
I would say handsomely aware.
Can I say the pulpit? Would that be the right analogy there? I
don't think that's the word that you're going for.
Okay. I guess
I guess that is
the platform that he has.
I guess so.
Yeah. So he knew. So I don't know if he went in there with the intention of speaking so colorfully and passionately about these topics, but once they came up, he knows
when he talks, he has a chance to speak to everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he was asked a question that was, it was almost like a layup question about how much more comfortable Nick Sirianni could feel in year 2 here, right? And he answered the question, and then he kind of moved off it, and he said, and I'm not going to give, we're a family program here, so I'm going to leave some words out or use bleeping instead. But he said, to be honest, I don't like comfort. I think comfort is a bleeping terrible place to be if you're in this league. I know everybody expects us to be Super Bowl champions in Philadelphia. I think that can definitely happen, but it's not going to happen being comfortable. I can guarantee you that. And then he explained his reason why. And then the follow-up question was about expectations, right? And if you recall earlier this summer, he had mentioned that in his time in Philly, when they're expected to do well, they don't play well. And the inverse has been true, the opposite. And he said there, and I'm pulling this up. He said, I apologize. It's not right in front of me here. Expectations are just that. They're bleeping nothing. We've got to go out there and play. The moment you're comfortable in this league, somebody's coming for you. We haven't won bleeping nothing yet. We're not even the champions, so we better work our bleeps off. And
Jalen Hurts said later something like expectations are just things you haven't done yet or something, right?
Yeah. So his message was clear, like don't buy the hype. They haven't done anything yet. And I like the point about not being comfortable, about being discomfort. I'm not a football player, and I don't deal with what they deal with, but I was talking with my wife about it this weekend, that progress comes on the other side of comfort, right? So I truly believe like you got to leave your comfort zone. And I liked what he said about not feeling comfortable. So I thought that was a good message.
Yeah, I feel like that is speaking your language.
Very much so. Very much.
That's good. And I think it's part of the overall tone of what's going on with the Eagles that we will probably talk about as this show goes on, that they find themselves after, not really doing much in the grand scheme of things last year in this place in the NFL zeitgeist now, where they are a team that is being described as a Super Bowl contender. And, they got a long way to go before they can actually belong in that stratosphere. So I think you're exactly right that Kelce knew what he was doing. And isn't it true that you asked him about that at the end of the press conference? Like, did he realize that he was sort of speaking to his team?
Yeah, so I asked him, I said, because it was such a good message, I thought. I said, I can't imagine this is impromptu, which it actually turned out to be. I said, have you conveyed this to your teammates? And he said, not specifically in that language, but he imagines that a video of this is going to get out.
And then he winked at you, I heard.
I don't know if he winked. I would have to look back. I don't know if he winked. But I think I understand. I mean, I certainly don't want to put words in his mouth or thoughts in his head, but the way I perceive that is like, yeah, like this is going to get out there, so they're going to hear it.
Okay, I think that makes sense.
The truth says he had a knowing chuckle. So there you go. Good.
Okay, that's
a good phrase. And I'll also add, like, storylines aside from a football perspective with Kelce, because this is the first time we've heard from him since.
And this was
injury.
Interesting.
Yeah. So he said that he had been feeling he hadn't been feeling right in his elbow for 2 weeks. In the first 2 weeks of camp, they had a date set, basically, that if this was still bothering him by that date, he would get it cleaned out. And the date was set with the runway to return for
a conservative runway for week 1, which exactly. Made sense when it happened, because immediately when it happened, you're thinking, if this is not a big deal, why is he doing it now in the middle of the camp? And so it makes sense that he comes in and they plan all along that if it's not right, this is the date and it's fine. And, you get Jurgens some reps. Exactly.
That's almost exactly how he put it. And he says, that because it was upper body and not lower body, he was able to maintain his cardiovascular shape. But he was honest. He said, I'm not going to lie, that training camp was really frustrating for him. He's never missed this much time going into a season, right? He's never missed a training camp like this before. So it's a unique free experience for him to go into a season with such little practice time. But he wanted to get out there last week to see how he felt, and he felt really good there. So he's good to go. But yeah, that's why the injury occurred when it did. That's why he was on the operating table within 24 hours after they made that decision, because they had planned it out essentially. And he says he feels better now the elbow feels better now than it's felt in about 4 years since he last got it cleaned out. Now, he did say his elbows click and his ankles click. So Marissa, this might give you a little sense of what an offensive line's body's like at 35 or so, or 34. But he feels better now than he's felt the past few years.
And then I think we should just say for the listeners, who have been curious about how the tofu is made in the job, we were back in the locker room today for the first time since 2019. Now, we were in after the post-game preseason game at home, but this was the first time back at the practice facility that we had a chance to be back in the locker room, which is great. That's where the good stuff happens.
Yeah, it's always good to see the Wolf Den ruminating, right? So Bo, to show how the tofu was made, Bo really works the locker room well, right? I felt like I was a little bit off my game today. A lot of new faces, I mean, for all the young reporters out there, or aspiring reporters out there, I'll give you a great lesson from, if you watch Bo Wulf, okay? If you want to know where Bo Wulf is in the locker room, don't look at the scrum. Look away from the scrum. Okay.
Well, that is true.
He's always where they aren't. And that's how he gets the good stuff. So that's that's a good lesson to the young reporters out
But
there.
I don't think that's not a me thing. I think that's as long as you have the freedom to not have to be in the scrum, I think that's always good advice.
True. I mean, some people, are in the scrum to lead the scrum, but other people sometimes just follow the pack, right? And they're playing defense in there. They're going in there just to make sure that they come out of it with like whatever the big thing is that day.
Well, I think we are
Yeah.
fortunate in the job that we have those are not our marching orders.
Yeah. But you play offense, right? You're going in there with a game plan, and so I'm gassing you up.
I don't need the gas today because I felt like if I'm giving you my inner Zach, I feel like I could have done a better job today. So
Okay.
I gotta
have another opportunity tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Come back to the drawing board tomorrow. I've always said that progress is on the other side of discomfort.
Good. I've said that too. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Anything else from today? What do you make of why are the Eagles so worried about not telling us who their returners are going to be?
I think this comes from. I think part of this is Sirianni. Like they are obsessed with this notion that there's a competitive advantage that can come from week one. You heard this last year. They probably think the same. They're operating the same way this year.
This is diminishing returns. The man hours spent obfuscating and also looking at the as Sirianni was saying, watching Dan Campbell press conferences. That is time wasted. That is not going to matter come game day. I know that it's all about the little margins. I'm sorry. This is not one of those cases. Give me a break.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between keeping the Phillies special behind closed doors, right? Like you don't want people to know your trick play of fourth down on the goal line.
Or is it going to be Quez Watkins or Britton Covey returning kickoffs?
Yeah. And then the other side of that is, I mean, and I say this respectfully, I get that their job is to win games and any advantage they think they have, they want to maximize. But Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell and Dave Phipp, right? They can put 2 and 2 together too. They can look at a roster the same way we can look at a roster and figure out who the possibilities are, what the likely possibilities are. I'm kidding. I like Dave. Always enjoy talking to Dave.
Yeah, sure. The beekeeper. I mean, that's a story you can read on The Athletic and nowhere else. And we won't even mention the writer. Okay. Well, we got better stuff to get to. Let's get to our guest. So why don't we take a little break? We'll come back on the other side talking Eagles season predictions, and I want to pick the brain of the man who has some very strong thoughts on Jonathan Gannon. Let's bring in Deniz after the break.
We have partnered with BetterHelp Online Therapy. How well would you take care of your car if you had to keep the same one your entire life? That's how our brains work. So why don't we treat them that way? There are plenty of ways to support a healthy brain, like learning a new language or taking power naps. There's also BetterHelp Online Therapy. I know football season is so stressful for my work life and personal life, and it's so important to talk to someone to relieve stress. BetterHelp is online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat-only therapy sessions, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Our Birds with Friends listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/BWF. That's BETTERHELP.com/BWF. Our next sponsor is Masterclass. With Masterclass, you can learn from the world's best minds anytime, anywhere, and at your own pace. You can learn how to cook from Gordon Ramsay, improve your jump shot from Steph Curry, or even learn how to sing from Christina Aguilera. With over 100 classes from a range of world-class instructors, that thing you've always wanted to do is closer than you think. I recently checked out that Steph Curry class with my little nephew who loves basketball, and we were blown away. The coolest part is you could start and stop at any time and return back and watch all the videos. It's so cool, and he is loving it. I highly recommend you check it out. Get unlimited access to every masterclass, and as a Birds with Friends listener, you get 15% off an annual membership. Go to masterclass.com/firstdown. That's masterclass.com/firstdown for 15% off masterclass.
All right, back on Birds with Friends. So I had a fantasy draft on Monday night. and there's one of the guys in the class is a student at Wharton, and I said, "Oh, do you know Deniz?" And he goes, "You know Deniz?" He was freaking out. He's like, so he had him last year. He said, Deniz, he was the only econ teacher who was good and knew what people wanted to get out of it. And he was going to bring his son in, Everin, to talk to the class, but then COVID got heavy. We were all disappointed. And he said, he's all about game theory. And I said, I think I know a little bit about his game theory. And so we bring on now the king of the Denizens. Deniz, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Doing very well. You've had a well-traveled summer. You've been all over the place. I'm sure you've been thinking about Johnny Gans the entire time. Is that fair?
Oh yeah, the entire time. We were in Turkey for 2 months, Italy for a few weeks, and just thinking about Jonathan Gannon ruined all of it. I mean, it was beautiful food and scenery and everything, but
he's not going to be disguising. He's not going to be disguising anything.
Of off coverage on 3rd and 3, and it wasn't.
I actually think Jonathan would really enjoy meeting you. I think he would have so many questions for you. So, maybe in the bye week I can try to arrange that.
Wow, that sounds like a peace offering. I like this.
Yeah, I think you would like Jonathan. He's a curious guy.
Well, yeah, we can.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding of Jonathan Gannon is that he's very good at making you guys think that he's very smart. My entire, career is based on trying to understand if people are actually smart or not. So it would be fascinating. For
you must
me,
hate this podcast then.
to meet him. If you guys can arrange that, I would love it. I'm sure it would be, I'm sure it would be a lot of fun. That doesn't change what it looked like last year, and we'll see if things look different this year. I mean,
well, let's talk about this, because I think it is, there's so much focus on the offense. We can get to the offense, but I am like very much on the fence about this defense, because it seems like the talent is like coordinator proof. They have upgraded at every level. If Jonathan Gannon can't get a top quarter defense, like a top 8 defense out of this group, assuming regular health, I think that would be a massive disappointment. What are your expectations for what you think you're going to see from this defense?
Yeah, so I mean, it's really hard for me to predict things because I'm a fan. Like, I'm still a fan, right? Like, I'm a season ticket holder. I'm sitting in the stands, like freezing. I care a lot if the team does well, and so I don't want to predict that bad things are going to happen and then say, like, look, I was right, and that's not something I normally do. But I think it's unrealistic. It's unrealistic to think that we're going to go from 25th in DVOA, right? 22nd in EPA, 20th in points per drive, 25th in turnovers per drive, 29th in red zone touchdown percentage, 24th in series conversion rate. And by the way, series conversion rate is the percentage of times that a first down converts to another first down or a touchdown. 24th in series conversion rate, despite being 3rd in the league in 3 and out last year, which basically means that either drives ended with 3 and outs because the quarterback was Gilbert Godfrey or whatever, or the drive just kept on going with, like, first down after first down after first down. And that's something that we saw, right? And that's why, Zach, after the Chargers game, was like, well, they only allowed however many points. Well, they scored a touchdown on like every drive, right? Like, there were only like 5 drives in the game because it was just first down after first down after first down. And I'm sitting in the stands at the Chargers game, and I'm like, does every team allow like every 3rd and 4? Like, does every team just like give it up before the snap? Is it just going to be a first down automatically? And so, you go to the numbers, you go to Football Outsiders, and you can look at DVOA by situation. And the Eagles were 31st in the league on 3rd and short, and 28th in the league in 3rd and medium. Now, Zach, I know you're a big 3rd down guy.
Yes.
The best way to get first downs is to not even have 3rd down if you're on offense, right? Well, the Eagles were also 23rd in the league at getting to 3rd down to begin with. And so basically this was a defense that was designed to fail against quarterbacks that were willing to be patient and just, pick apart the zones and things like that. And we're going to see if things are different when you have 2 two guys who can cover slot receivers instead of only one, like last year, that kind of thing. Like when you have an edge rusher who's actually, likely to get a lot of sacks, like those are things that we're going to see if it's going to be different. But the philosophy to me seemed flawed last year and definitely frustrating.
And I think it was John Maynard Keynes. Is that who I think it was John Maynard Keynes who said, when the facts change, I change my mind. How do you do it, sir? Right. So, right. In my estimation, the facts have changed. The facts, the personnel is different. The way he can play is different. I was about to say I concede. I have no dog in this fight, right? Like Jonathan Gannon doesn't need me to defending him. What you said is absolutely
correct. He doesn't. There are plenty of people defending him, and I don't understand why. I do not understand it.
But
there are owners interviewing for head coaching jobs. I mean, I do not understand it. Yeah.
But to your point about that Chargers game last year, I mean, I just pulled up the Chargers schedule. I mean, they were putting up 47 points against Cleveland, 28 points against Vegas, 30 points against Kansas City, 41 against Pittsburgh, 41 against Cincinnati, 37 against the Giants. The Eagles kept points off the board.
No, only because they were slow.
These are the notes that I took at the game. Okay? And I want you to focus on the second half.
If you are an audio listener, you sort of have to watch this.
Every single drive is a score. They had the ball 4 times, and they scored all 4 drives. Now, you can limit points by allowing 9-minute touchdown drives instead of 2-minute touchdown drives, which is what the philosophy seems to be. The problem is, if you're behind in the game, that's not even better. It's actually worse to allow a 9-minute touchdown drive if you're behind, which is the kind of thing that happened in that game. I mean, the offense was actually moving the ball pretty well that game. They just needed the ball back. And
they just didn't score points, though, right?
The game ended 27-24, Zach.
We don't need to relitigate the Eagles-Chargers game last year.
The offense scored touchdowns on 2 of the 3 times it had the ball in the second half. Does that sound like a normal number of times to have the ball in the second half? 3 times? I mean,
no,
getting off the field is important when you're behind in the game, and that wasn't something we all talk about. Doug Peterson in the Super Bowl, right? Going for it on every 4th down and Philly special, all that stuff. And the reason that Doug Peterson got so much praise for that was, I mean, obviously because he won the game, right? But also because he understood he was going against Belichick. He understood that he was the underdog. He understood that he had to take some risks, because it doesn't matter if you lose by 20 or you lose by 4, right? At the end of the day, you either win the Super Bowl or you don't. And he understood he had to take risks on the margins in order to win that game. I feel like that's precisely the thing that Gannon doesn't have, is that game awareness. Like, what's the score? Who am I playing against? Like, how likely is my offense to score a lot of points? And what do I have to do as a defense? And sometimes as a defense, you have to be like, maybe I will give up a bomb on this, but maybe I'll get a strip sack or an interception and change the game because my offense is struggling, right? And that's the thing that I didn't see in literally any game last year. Yeah. And I don't know how you guys sit through those press conferences, by the way, but Gannon told you guys the other day, like, sometimes we played lights out and sometimes we didn't. We want to be consistent this year. I missed the games where the team was lights out. I'm sorry.
Jake Fromm is about all that comes to mind. Yeah.
Marissa, how many times did you get on that Jets pod talk about Zach Wilson touchdown drives last year? How many were there? Like all year?
Not many.
And how many were there on the first 3 drives against Jonathan Gannon? All 3. I mean, this was like just ridiculous. Like, it wasn't like he was even destroying all of the bad quarterbacks. The guy from Washington had a decent game. So, I mean, whatever. Like, it's hard for me to, like, I'm sure he's smart when he talks to you guys, but he doesn't seem to understand the overall, like, scenarios in the game. At the end of the day, you need to maximize your probability of winning the game. And sometimes that involves taking risks. Look, if he starts taking more risks this year, that'll be great, but I didn't see it last year.
I mean, I think if you're gonna make the case, you have to assume, if you're gonna think that he does know what he's doing, that he viewed last year as like a transition year, which I think is would have been false. Like, he had plenty of talent, but like, it was, as you're describing, Deniz, it was so dogmatic, and like to just do the same thing every time, and we're not going to take these risks. It's also paired with, like, if you're going to do that, you sort of have to be better in the red zone. If that's going to be your whole philosophy, you can't just give up touchdowns, ranked 29th in red zone defense. That is the kind of thing that usually does revert to the mean year over year. So you would expect that they'll get some kind of bump there. But like maybe it was like, okay, Howie, you got to get me these guys. And Howie's like, all right, I got you these guys. Now let's see if you can do it. And I don't know if we're going to see the kind of creativity that some of us are expecting in terms of like freeing up Hassan Reddick the way that Phil Snow did.
Right.
And like not being so soft on every third and short, third and medium. So I don't know. It is the thing that I'm probably most curious about. And I think that you might disagree because you're already sort of pod committed that you're not that curious. You sort of expect that it's going to be about the same.
Yeah, I mean, I hope I'm wrong though. Like I said, I'm a fan, right? Like I'm not like sitting here like publishing predictions that I hope are going to turn out to be right. Like I'm a fan. I hope I'm wrong.
We're going to get to that
somehow.
part. Yeah.
But We'll forget. Look, on the topic of using talent correctly. I know Jeff McClain asked about the 4-eye technique in like every press conference last year. Right?
He does love that.
And I'm still waiting for his. I'm still waiting for his book on the 4-eye. I'm sure it's coming out soon.
Jeff does a great job covering the beat.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely, and I honestly can't wait for the 4-eye book. But we had Josh Sweat in the 4-eye with Jannard Avery and Derek Barnett on the edges routinely on early downs last year. And I'm very nerdily watch the film and I chart every play and I actually write the order of the defensive linemen for every play. Okay, and I know this is like my wife. I hope doesn't hear this, but it's probably not the best use of my time.
What makes you charming?
The point is, like, it's not anecdotal. It's not like I think I noticed Josh Sweat in the 4-eye with Avery on the edge. No, it happened a lot, right? Like you can chart in and you can write down the numbers. And I feel like that was just such a poor use of personnel in a way that like you're limiting one of your best rushers and you're using Avery in this weird thing where like you can tell from the beginning that he's just going to drop into his zone. Like
he's only on the field if that's going to be his role.
Like just play a normal linebacker there or something, right? Like it's like he doesn't have any pass rush moves. Like what are you doing, right? Like and so like having him out there on those downs and just not having any lack of predictability on early downs was the biggest problem. I think you really have to separate third down from the other downs. Like it really sticks out when you chart like which plays were blitzes and which plays weren't blitzes. I think the Jim Johnsons and the Vic Fangios of the world like know to bring unexpected pressure on early downs, right? And I can't wait till you guys break some sort of Vic Fangio news, by the way.
Well, the Vic Fangio thing is very much in the water. I mean, he's been here. So again, if you're going to be like really optimistic, maybe he's passing along some secrets. I don't know.
Oh, that would be amazing. Because, I mean, the thing about first and second down, and I know, like, this is something, Greg Cosell. I had to mention Greg Cosell because I'm wearing this. I'm wearing this today.
For the audio listeners, I like an original BWF. I like it a little more than you do, shirt.
That's right. Well, Cosell always talks about how, on the podcast with the great Fran Duffy, talks about how most NFL defenses are relatively predictable on first and second down. And so offenses know how to attack them, right? Like you have a sense of like what you're going to get on those early downs. And then third down is where things get interesting. But the dichotomy with Gannon, I mean, not like he blitzed a lot on third down either. 31st in blitz rate in the NFL last year, more only than Bo's favorite defensive coordinator in Las Vegas. And you had the like early down, like I'm sitting in the stadium and I am an economics professor. Okay. Like I don't actually know anything about football. Like I'm just watching.
You know quite a bit about football. Yeah.
Well, okay. But I mean, whatever, like, I'm not Fran Duffy. Like I can't tell like, exactly what's going on. I always knew what the coverage was going to be pre-snap. This continued throughout the season. And I was like testing myself, like, I'll pause it before the play starts. Like what's it going to be? I can tell. And if I can tell, obviously Tom Brady can tell, right? Like, and it gets to a point where you're like, why are you lacking so much creativity on these early downs? Forcing sacks and forcing turnovers, if that's the goal, one of the things about those things, and I know the guy who used to be on this podcast talked about how sacks had gotten so underrated, so said to be so overrated that they were now underrated.
Yeah, but that was me saying it too. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well,
I agree about that. Yeah,
is still. But here's the thing with sacks, right? There isn't really that big a difference between a sack and an incompletion on third down, right? On third down, it's probably ending the drive either way, unless you're knocking them out of field goal range or something.
Yeah.
But on first and second down, there's a huge difference, right? There's a big difference between 3rd and 7 and 3rd and 15.
Exactly.
And Jonathan Gannon never even tries to get a sack on 2nd and 7, right? Like the thing is, like, you can't get to 3rd and 15 instead of 3rd and 7 when that's not even a goal of yours, right? And I feel like the lack of any kind of disguise or exchange or anything like on those early downs is something that is frustrating to fans. And we're coming off Jim Schwartz, who never blitzed either, and it's still really frustrating. Like, imagine if this had been like straight from Jim Johnson, like it would have been even harder to take them.
Well, maybe they would have had Juan in the middle.
Yeah, my biggest criticism of Gannon's defense last year was, like, I understand the philosophy of forcing a team to try to go 10, 12, 14 plays on you, and at some point there's going to be a sack, an interception, a tip ball, whatever it may be. But they did not force negative plays nearly enough for that to be your overriding philosophy. And that's my biggest criticism, is the lack of negative plays.
And I think
that needs to be, like, if there's anything that I need to see from this defense this year, it's more sacks, more takeaways, because I don't have an objection with the philosophy. I have an objection with the execution.
And I have an objection to the like full blown commitment to the philosophy. The, like, you can't play that way against Tom Brady. He's just going to take what you're giving him. Like, you can play that way against Jake Fromm and Garrett Gilbert, and it's fine. But when you're going up against Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert and Tom Brady, like, let's try something a little bit different.
Especially if you get to play Tom Brady twice, and the second one's in the playoffs, and it's almost the same game. I mean, just crazy how little anything changed from game 1 to game 2. Like, it's not like the first game went well and basically didn't change anything, even though you're in the situation where, you know, you can kind of tell from the beginning, like, look, this isn't going to be like a great day for the offense, right? Like, this isn't going to be one of those days where
that's okay. If the offense struggles, that's okay. As long as the defense, the greatest trick the Eagles ever pulled was forcing everyone to focus on the defense and just not care about, just excuse the offense and Sirianni and Jalen Hurts last year. But I digress. Yes. No,
I think offense is more important, but I also think that the offense is basically the same as last year. I mean, it added one player, right? And so I think it's important
a top of the league player. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we're going to see how that, and I am not worried about how Sirianni is going to use that player, but I am worried about how Gannon is going to use all of his new players, and you know, we'll see.
How do you feel about the offense?
I feel good. And you know, I was tweeting like all the time about how well the offense was doing and all the advanced metrics last year when the team was 3-6 and everyone was like, you know, this team's terrible, new coach, new quarterback needed, etc. I was like, this team's going to the playoffs. Like, look at the schedule and look at the fact that the offense is actually doing quite well. It's the fact that the defense is giving up 9-minute drives against everybody that's the problem, and that'll hopefully be remedied by the schedule, which is exactly what happens. Like, once the defense stopped playing Mahomes and Herbert and Brady,
and the schedule is very easy again.
Yes, and I definitely want to talk about that if you guys have time. Like, I think the schedule is not talked about enough, and everyone who knows me is like, "What do you mean? You talk about it all the time." But I don't think it's talked about enough. In general,
like half the population of Turkey is like, yeah, we heard all about it.
Exactly. My grandfather heard a lot about it, but I mean, I think that the schedule is shockingly advantageous. Like, not just in the NFC in general, like in terms of the divisions that the Eagles get to play, the NFC North, the AFC South, right? But also in terms of just comparing the Eagles schedule to the Dallas schedule. There's a kind of shocking, advantage in just the 3 games that are different. Like, there are only 3 games different, right, between teams in the same division, the way the NFL schedule works. And Dallas finished first last year, and the Eagles finished second. So you would think that it wouldn't be that big a difference. Like, you're playing second place teams instead of first place teams. But here are the games, right? The Eagles host the Steelers, who are 90. Dallas hosts they were in the Super Bowl last year. And
is this when you want this graphic up, Deniz?
Sure, the graphics. This is good for the graphic. Yeah.
Okay.
It was like stepping on my job over here. Like,
I couldn't tell if it was a schedule graphic or not.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
let's show the graphic.
Okay, this is the graphic of the Eagles' schedule and how ranking all the teams from most likely to win the Super Bowl to least. The Eagles are tied for 10th in Super Bowl odds, and only play one team that is ranked above them in that, and that's the Packers. And by the way, that's at home, and we'll talk about the home advantage in a bit. 9 of the games are against teams ranked 22nd or lower in Super Bowl odds, which is not normal. Like other teams don't have that. I mean, that's that's very lucky in the sense that it's not just an algorithm thing where it's like, well, those are the divisions you're playing. Go back to the differences with Dallas. So Steelers instead of Bengals, obviously an easier game. But then the other games that Dallas has to play, they have to play the last 2 teams to win the Super Bowl, the Rams and Tampa Bay. And they are 12-1 and 7-1 to win the Super Bowl this year, respectively. The Eagles are playing the Cardinals and the Saints, who both finished second in their divisions last year. I don't even know how the Saints finished second in their division, but they're 40-1. Arizona's also 40-1. So that's a huge difference. And not only that, we know how important momentum is in the NFL and how teams can believe that they're good even if they're not. The Panthers team that only lost 1 game and went to the Super Bowl, like they weren't that good, but they won a bunch of games early. They started to believe, and they almost went undefeated. It was crazy, right? The 2017 Eagles team was similar. They had a bunch of wins in the middle of the season against very bad teams, started to believe, convinced themselves that they could win the Super Bowl without their MVP quarterback, right? Dallas plays those 3 games that I just mentioned in the first 5 weeks. So they play Tampa Bay, the Rams, and Cincinnati all in the first 5 weeks. And then they come to Philly in week 6. I really think there's a chance, if things go the way that I think they might and that I hope they might, the Eagles could go into that week 7 bye with something like a 3-game lead in the division, right? Like, because when you look at the actual order of the games that the Eagles are playing, there aren't that many games at the beginning in which the Eagles won't be favored. There aren't any, in fact, I don't think, other than I don't think there are any in the first 6.
Well, just very quickly to say, I have it pulled up. Obviously starts at Detroit. Week 2, the Monday night game against Minnesota. Week 3 at Washington. Week 4 home against Doug Peterson and the Jags. Week 5 at Arizona. They're not favored. They're going to be favored in that game. And then week 6 is home against Dallas. We'll see.
If not favored, it's not going to be one of those like I can't believe they beat Arizona type games, right?
Right. Okay. Reason for optimism. We've got the Deniz of multitudes. We've got the Gannon side. We've got the schedule side. Always at conflict.
The schedule is Gannon's best friend. It was last year. It was last year, and it's going to be this year again. I think the defense is actually a decent philosophy against bad quarterbacks, and there are plenty of games against bad quarterbacks this year.
All right, let's take our second break, and coming back on the other side, we want to talk about what we're going to do for Swooper this year, and also have Deniz grade our crystal ball Eagle predictions live, which has never been done before. A little break on Birds with Friends.
We all have busy lives these days and can't afford to waste a day stuck on the couch because of a few drinks the night before. Z-Biotics is the answer we've all been waiting for. Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Z-Biotics produced an enzyme to break the byproduct down. It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut, where you need it most. Just remember to drink Z-Biotics before drinking alcohol, drink responsibly, and get a good night's sleep. Give Z-Biotics a try for yourself. Go to zbiotics.com/BWF to get 15% off your first order when you use BWF at checkout. Z-Biotics is backed with 100% money back guaranteed, so if you are unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. I'm excited to share with you our next partner because it's a pretty cool product. Let's talk about Athletic Greens. If you're looking to get better gut health, more energy, or a stronger immune system in a really easy, natural way, you've got to check out Athletic Greens. I'm sure you'll all agree that most of us are not huge fans of having to take a bunch of pills or vitamins in the morning, but with Athletic Greens, you can get rid of all those extra vitamin bottles and finally make some room in your cabinet. Athletic Greens is an all-in-one solution that actually tastes good. You'll really enjoy getting your daily vitamins. If you check out my fridge, you'll see it in there because I've been hearing about this product all summer. My sister and her boyfriend kept bringing this up to me as something I needed to try, so I started trying it myself. I was wondering, as you might be, what is it? Well, with one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, all to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, your recovery, your focus, your aging, all these things. It's lifestyle friendly whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, gluten-free. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, and it supports better sleep quality and recovery while also supporting mental clarity and alertness. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into flu and cold season. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/birds. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/birds to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
All right, back on Birds with Friends. And, we had a long weekend last weekend. Everywhere I go, people are coming up to me. We were walking around with the family in Fishtown, getting a little ice cream. Somebody walked by, said hello. It was a listener. We were at the zoo. Somebody said hello, showed me his athletic receipt, said best purchase I've ever made. And everywhere I go, everybody's asking me, what's going to happen with Swooper this year? What are we going to do with Swooper? They're nudging me. I'm getting phone calls from the mayor. Everybody wants to know. And so we bring on Deniz. Let's talk about this. I sent you some messages. What can we do? How can we troubleshoot this? What can we do moving forward? You had some ideas.
So first of all, I loved the wild card round Swooper last year. It was unbelievably fun for me to watch. It was amazing. Zach yelling Swooper in the Dutch auction was one of the highlights of Dutch auction history, like just across the history of Dutch auctions. It was fantastic. And
first
I
Dutch
want
auction,
that kind of thing to happen. My thinking was that it would be fun to, include Marissa as a real player if she's willing to do it.
I'm nervous.
And she was an amazing auctioneer, and I think she would be a great player too, and she would clearly be the fan favorite. I think it would be good to.
I think it's nice to have
people
an obvious,
clearly with somebody to root for. Yeah.
So I think what we do now, we talked about maybe it makes sense. The three of us will have our instead of having Marissa unveil what our bids are, we'll sort of put them out ourselves when we want, and then maybe at the end there will be some hidden envelopes courtesy of you.
Yeah, so I was thinking 12 items. So if you guys each have 3, and you're welcome to take them from the chat, or continue to incorporate the chat as you guys always do. I would be very happy to submit 3 myself, and the 3 that I submit would be a little different, probably in terms of maybe the auction type, in terms of maybe just something else about them, and that way maybe it could go in order, like one from each of you, and then I can do the 4th, 8th, and 12th ones, that kind of thing.
Okay. So
I definitely want the
agent of
12th one. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And as the season goes, maybe we'll get different educate the viewers on various other kinds of auctions that will have Zach screaming things. So
now, just because I know that Zach is now the Swooper champion, he's become this outsized superhero in the game. I'm a little bit nervous about him. Is there anything we can do to avoid the chicanery of like him holding on his turkeys and then having something be like Jonathan Gannon gives up a first down? Something very easy. I guess that's up to
well,
him
hold on.
if he
These are
wants to
still.
Are you asking me?
Oh,
Are
I
you
see.
asking-
Well, you guys always submitted items, right? So
Yeah, that's true,
it should
yeah.
still be.
But we didn't know
that
before.
part-
We didn't
that
know
part's
when they
okay.
were going to be submitted. Now we will be in control of when we submit our own.
But
You're
we could
saying
do
there's
like a
gonna be
random
more-
generator. We could submit them and it be
Hmm.
random, and I pull it up on the screen.
Okay.
Deniz, how do you feel
Interesting.
about that?
That would be okay. I mean, I don't think that the
I'd have to
the
be
strategy,
like truthful. You know, you don't know
Yeah,
my
so
game theory.
the thing
Maybe
that
I'll
wouldn't
lie.
be good.
I think it would be fantastic if you were just a total villain. Like you just.
I actually have
I mean-
a Swooper suggestion this year.
Okay.
I think leftover turkeys should gain interest, and there should be compound interest here, so that no, seriously, yeah. So if you
Why?
have, what's that?
Why?
Well,
What's the reason behind that?
Yeah.
to benefit being
Yeah, but why should you
Hey.
benefit that you don't want to incentivize inaction in a game on a
Yeah.
podcast?
you want to incentivize
Exactly.
strategy,
Exactly.
right?
But that doesn't incentivize it in an interesting way, right? Like, so that would make you less likely to bid, and that makes the game less fun, right? Like if all four of you are just sitting there like the interest rate's really high this week, I'm just gonna hang on. Like that wouldn't make for a fun game, right? If anything, they
it's-
should depreciate.
Oh, I
Yeah.
disagree there. I think that incentivizes
Action,
Th-
which is
not
the
being
point of
prudent.
the show.
no, not being prudent, right? It's like you know,
This isn't
that
a-
in essence, that's like if you're in a fantasy league and you have a waiver budget, you don't if the person who has the most dollars left at the end can get the best player on the wire at the end because they were smart with their
Yeah, but
money
you can
throughout.
still, but there's no
Yeah,
interest on the waiver wire. You can still just hold the money.
I just thought this would add
I don't
more
have
strategy.
any. I don't
Mm.
have any rings. Like I never won a Swooper championship. So you know, Zach, you're the
No,
you're the one
I
who
got
won the
overruled.
title.
I got overruled on this one. That's okay. I'll beat you guys in your own game.
I'm not
So-
sure it would be
Oh.
more entertaining. I'm not sure it would be more entertaining for the audience if you were less likely to bid on things. Like that's the only, especially with some of the auction types that I have in mind. It would be good if you were prepared.
We're more
to-
aggressive. Okay.
All right.
That
Well,
goes against my ethos. Okay.
we don't have too much longer here, so why don't we get to our Crystal Bald Eagle season predictions draft? For those of you who may not remember or are new to the show, just coming to watch Deniz. Zach and I are gonna predict a couple bold predictions. And last year you graded these on a scale of 3 to 8, I believe. Deniz, is that what it was? Why was
That's
it 3 to
probably
8?
right. I don't know. I didn't want to do it last year. I
Yeah.
don't want to do it this year. But
we're
I'm
asking
here,
you
so
to
yeah.
anyway. Okay.
yeah, exactly.
All right. We'll do 6
Um,
each, Zach. Is that okay with you?
6. Okay. I wrote down more than 6. So I just need to pick out my 6.
Okay. I will. I'll go first. I'll give you a second. I'm.
So am
gonna
I doing
start-
these? Am I doing these live? Like as soon as you say it, I give it the number.
Yeah, I mean, you can take a few seconds to think about it, but yeah. Or if you would
Okay,
like.
but
to
I
take-
don't. I'm not gonna like hear all of them first and get to rank them or anything. I
Okay.
need to do them.
Yeah, that's probably best. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna go with my first one is that after at least one of the 2 games against the Commanders in the locker room, I'm going back to a well that was good for me last year, and that was predicting a Fletcher Cox comment. I'm going to say that in one of those 2 post-game press conferences or locker room gabbles, Fletcher Cox says something denigrating about Carson Wentz that is not just like that seems a little bit personal. It's a very specific call. I want to start with that.
Okay, I'm looking at my point totals from last year, so I can kind of normalize.
As a reminder, the point totals were very generous to Bo, and
That's not
they
true.
They were tilted against me. Yes,
and yet, despite that, you managed to tie last year. Was there a tiebreaker?
I made ballsier predictions.
No, Sheil and I talked about this. You conspired with Deniz.
Please. I promise you, he's not giving any handouts.
I'm just glad. I mean, you guys both. Just to remind everyone, you guys both got 15 points, and Sheil only got 3. So being bolder was not necessarily the way to go. Okay, so your Fletcher Cox.
It's a very
thing
specific
last year,
yeah,
which hit was a 6-pointer. I'm gonna say that this one is a little bit less bold. There are 2 games. Though, hold on, wasn't Fletcher Cox one of the people who like tweeted in favor of Carson Wentz when he got benched?
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like him, and he said he liked the tweet or something that criticized the benching, right. and he said my tweet is my tweet or something. That makes it less likely. Okay, I'll keep it at 6 points for this one.
I think that's reasonable. Zach?
The Eagles reach 40 sacks, which I believe 14 teams last year had 40. The Eagles had 29. So this will be an 11 sack increase from last season in a defense that, as Deniz pointed out, is the worst defense known to mankind. So no, I'm just kidding there. That was for a fact.
Yeah. No, given the schedule, there should be leads and those kinds of things. Hassan Reddick should get a lot of sacks. BG is back. It's not as bold as the Fletch thing. I mean, talking about ending up in the top 14, that's like half the league had 40 sacks, right?
Yeah. Yes, so, but they were number 31 last year. So you're talking about them going from 31 into the top half of the league.
Well, yeah, I mean, half of the starting lineup has changed.
As you said, their defensive coordinator doesn't generate pressure on first and second down. So, and they don't do a good job getting the third down. So, I mean, based on the previous discussion,
well, that's why they were 31st
and on
last
our
year,
scale.
Right? So basically, yes. the question is,
it feels like a 4 to me.
Yeah,
conspiring once again.
Yeah, Bo, you're not helping yourself by saying a number, because now I can't say that number, and it was a 4.
It feels like a 2, really.
Yeah. What's the lowest one? 3 is the lowest.
3, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's almost. I think it's it's a little bit less than a coin flip. So what's the coin flip? A coin flip would be.
I think a coin flip 3. So it should be a 4.
Yeah, it is a 4.
Okay.
It's a 4. Yeah.
Okay. I have a similar one that I think is also a same level and is the same level of improvement. Last year, the Eagles had only 5 plays on offense of 40 yards or more. That was tied for last in the league. I think this year they will have at least 12 of those, and that would be top 7 in the league. I think they go from 5 to at least 12 plays of 40 yards or more.
And do you know how many teams had that many last year?
There were, I believe, actually, I do have it right here. So it was tied for 7th, but there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those teams tied. So I guess 11 teams. I think that's probably. I'm happy to take the 4 there. It feels like a similar thing as Zach's. It's a slightly bigger improvement, but
yeah, I think. Yeah, I agree. Though if you're gonna have me do this, you have to stop just saying what you think it should be. Otherwise, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, you just did whatever Bo said."
Yeah, that's true.
And so if you're gonna,
I'm trying to downplay that one because
Zach's not paying attention. It's okay.
No, I am. I'm sorry. My story just went on.
It's not Zach. It's the listeners. I was getting DMs last year about I can't believe you made the press conference one be 5 points or whatever. It's like what? I didn't even ask to do this.
I promise those listeners that nobody watches the press conferences more than Deniz. All right, Zach, you're up. Did
you guys notice the other day? And I do not know how you sit through the Shane Steichen stuff. Shane Steichen was talking about the wide receivers and like the depth chart and how he includes the practice squad as part of the roster or whatever. And he said obviously AJ, Devontae, and Zach. And then he didn't. Continue. I thought it was really interesting that he said Zach, and he didn't say Quez.
Yeah,
and
I did notice that.
I think people are going to be surprised that when Zach Pascal plays more snaps than Quez this year. I don't know if that's one of your things, but that would be one of mine.
I like that. So this one, based on your previous graphic, I imagine this one's going to be pretty high up. The Eagles don't have a winning record versus AFC South and NFC North teams. And I specified this. I said, don't have a winning record, not have a losing record. So if they go 4-4 in those games, then I still hit.
Yeah, interesting. Green Bay and Minnesota at home, and at Detroit and at Chicago. And if I were choosing which two of those that I would want at home, I would have Green Bay at home, which is what the Eagles have. And the opposite. Dallas has to go to Green Bay and to Minnesota, and they host Detroit and Chicago, who are two teams you should not need home field to beat. So that's another schedule advantage for the Eagles, by the way, that they get to play the better teams at home in the NFC North compared to Dallas. I definitely think the Eagles will have a winning record against those two divisions. I would say that.
And so do I, by the way.
I would give it. 7.
7? No way.
So that's why I went with this one. That's why I went with this one.
What if the Eagles are bad?
Well, I'm protecting myself in that case, right? So,
okay. Wow.
I mean, the season's not going to be fun if it's not a winning record against those teams, right?
Well, yeah, but this isn't a scale of what's not fun. That doesn't.
I'm expecting the season will be fun, so I think it's bold to say that it won't be. Yeah.
All right. I've got this is a pretty straightforward one. I think I've talked about this. Dallas Goedert, to me, like weirdly low and I know you're not a fantasy player, Deniz, but he's like the 8th ranked fantasy player at tight end. I think Dallas Goedert will finish as a top 3 fantasy tight end this year.
With what scoring system?
I don't know anything about fantasy. I don't want to sound like Ray Didinger or something.
Half point PPR.
I don't even know what that means. So fantasy is like you get points for touchdowns or something.
But this is a tough one because every league has different touchdowns.
I just told you half point PPR.
Yeah, but the touchdowns are different in different leagues. And
okay, like very standard.
10 seconds on this. Fantasy is the worst thing to have happened to football. I mean, it's terrible. I'm sitting in the stands. 99% of people are on their phone, especially if it's a 1:00 game, checking their fantasy score instead of paying attention to the game. No one impacts the game anymore. It's awful. You're at a game. Watch the game you're at. All right. Anyway.
Okay, so 5 points.
Dallas Goedert, like yards per route run and all those kinds of things, like his DVOA as a tight end and everything was off the charts last year. I don't think people realized like how good it was.
Yes, he was second among tight ends.
Fantasy is obviously more of a counting stats thing.
Right, and they were not run heavy. They were not pass heavy.
Not pass heavy, but no Zach Ertz this year, obviously. Neither of the other two tight ends seems like someone who's going to get a lot of targets either. Things should be opening up for the tight end, right? But with two wide receiver, whatever. Yeah, I don't think it's that bold. I'll say 5.
Okay, Zach.
So this is one here that I imagine is going to be pretty low on the scale, but the Eagles win a playoff game. Not make the playoffs. Eagles win a playoff game.
Yeah. I'm going to go with 4 for that.
Okay. I have a specific playoff prediction. Devontae Smith scores 2 touchdowns in a single playoff game.
Wow.
What? Okay. That in a single playoff game?
Yes.
All right. That's very bold.
This is my going back to players. You know, the comparison we made with organism. This is my Devontae Smith organism moment.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like a crazy happening, right? But it would be a crazy thing to have predicted from before the season. Devontae Smith, 2 touchdowns in 1 playoff game. I'll say 7.
Okay.
So the Eagles had, and this also could potentially involve Devontae Smith, could potentially involve Dallas Goedert, could potentially involve Zach Pascal. The Eagles have 2 players reach 1,000 receiving yards. And to give context to that, the Eagles have not had a 1,000-yard wide receiver since Jeremy Maclin in 2014. Zach Ertz reached that mark as a tight end in 2018.
So for those who don't remember last year, Zach, you had the Eagles don't have a 1,000-yard receiver at any position.
Yes.
And I said that was a 3, and it did hit. And you're saying that this year there will be 2 players that hit 1,000?
Yes, and I did not say wide receivers for this one. So 2
right.
players.
And you didn't last year either, by the way. So okay, I
Good one.
having 2 that hit 1,000 is more bold than saying none would in last year's offense. But it's still kind of bold. I would say 5? 6? Let's make it 6.
Okay, thank you.
Feels like you're overcorrecting a little bit on the scoring system here. I just want to say, but okay.
It's almost like I didn't want to do this.
Not like a 5. All right, I'm going to give you an 8-pointer, okay? A Titans wide receiver, when the Titans play the Eagles, is going to be flagged for trying to fight or hitting Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. To me, that is the game where Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, he's going to be talking A.J. Brown, like related smack, like you guys can't carry his jock or something like that. He's going to be really aggressive and over the top about it, and one of them is going to snap.
Interesting. I would have thought you would have said Saints.
Yeah.
But you're saying Titans. So it's not, I don't think it's 8 points. 8 points last year were like Eagles successfully execute a surprise onside kick, right? Which like no one ever does, right? Like that was 8 points.
That's a thing that teams do. This is a very specific prediction.
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson like routinely gets opponents flagged. Like there's like an entire YouTube highlight thing of him getting opponents flagged. It's like the thing.
All you're doing is picking a game. Yeah.
That's very specific.
Yeah, it's specific, but yeah, I don't know.
And a position. He did pick a position.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you, Marissa.
Sorry,
What was the position? You said it's going to be a wide receiver.
I said a wide receiver.
Oh.
So the obvious.
It's usually wide receivers.
Yeah.
I thought you said tight end. I was like, wow, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, who are the Titans wide receivers? Like, are any of them more likely?
Robert Woods, Traylon Burks, Nick or Westbrook, Kinney.
Okay. It is likely that he'll be doing well in that game, I think, and against the wide receivers at least.
He's also got to be healthy at that point. It's like week 13 or week 11.
Yeah. I'll just because it's so specific, I'll say 7.
Okay.
So this is one here that should be an 8-pointer because
you've got 2 left. I've got 1 left.
Because only 2 players in NFL history at this position have done this. Jalen Hurts rushes for 1,000 yards, at least 1,000 yards, not 1,000 yards on the dot.
Wow.
Only Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson, I believe, have done this.
Right. Yeah.
I think things will.
Yeah.
As you think about this, I think this would be a borderline bad sign for the offense, given all the investment they've made. If he has to run for 1,000 yards, I feel like that's not ideal.
Aren't you the one who always says like, what, if he runs for 6 yards, that's better
and
than
gets out of bounds?
down?
Yeah, I agree. Well, I agree with that, but
And I just want to be clear. This I made these in game theory with game theory in mind here. This is not like things that I think are going to happen. So.
Oh well, mine are.
Well, I would hope not. Yeah. Yeah. It's not. Yeah, I don't think it's. It's kind of boring to just have them all be 7, but I think this one's also 7.
Okay.
I'm optimistic about the offense, and I think that if the team has a lead and he's healthy and all that, there are going to be situations where defenses might make it such that running is the best option for him if the passing game is going well. I don't think it's necessarily a bad sign. It obviously depends on the situations in the games that it comes up. But it's still bold because he's not Lamar Jackson, right? He's not going to be getting a lot of 80-yard runs. So he's going to have to get it in smaller chunks. So.
All right. Should I give you my last one? I have one that's about a specific player and one that's about a specific game. That's much more bold. I'm going to give you the bold one. The one that I'm not giving you is that Nakobe Dean will finish the season as the Eagles' top linebacker. He will be playing the most snaps of any linebacker at the end of the season.
Wow. Okay.
I'm not going to give you that one, but I'm going on the record with that one. My one that I'm giving you is Week 4. Doug Peterson and the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to come to Lincoln Financial Field.
Oh no!
And win that game either by a last-minute score or by double digits.
What? Okay.
So basically, it's a Doug Peterson.
So you're ruling out
that game.
You're ruling out a routine
8-9 point win. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That could help my AFC South, NFC.
But you're also ruling out a 3-point win if they weren't the team to score at the end or whatever, right? You're saying it's
Correct.
a last minute score.
Yes, very specific.
Yeah. That is specific.
It's the kind of thing where it's like Doug did it,
Yeah, that's pretty bold. I'll give that one an 8.
All right, I'll take it.
Bo was hoping to get an 8 in there somewhere.
I mean, that one deserves an 8 just because of the just how big I think that would be.
Yeah,
too,
I don't think that's worthy of an 8, but that's okay. I'm willing to play against a stacked board here. So the one I'm not giving you is Trey Sermon rushes for at least 250 yards.
Interesting.
I'm gonna give you a different one, and if
that
any
would have
NFL owners,
that would have been such a boring thing to track, by the way. Thank you for not. That would have been Trey Sermon got another 14 yards this game. That would not have been.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
If there's a GM or an owner out there who listened to the first 40 minutes of this podcast, this one is definitely an 8. But an Eagles assistant gets a head coaching job this offseason.
Wow.
And so this could be Brian Johnson, could be Shane Steichen, could be, you go on down the list. Jeff Stoutland,
Jonathan Gannon.
Yes.
Joe Casper. Yeah, no. Eric Dickerson. I'm just naming
Tyler Brown. Tyler Brown.
No getting that.
Yeah.
Tyler Brown. Yeah. Michael Clay, and by the way, back to now that I've mentioned the other 2 coordinator pressers, Michael Clay does an amazing job in pressers of making it sound like he doesn't do anything himself. It's like Tyler Brown is the guy who works with the kickers.
He really is good at deflecting.
Yeah. It's amazing. He's Joe Panunzio is the one who actually does all the,
Aaron Moorhead works with
the returners. And then yesterday
returners.
he was Aaron Moorhead is the one who works with the returners.
I agree.
And it's interesting because it's the opposite leadership style of other people in the building who like to let you know that no one else does anything. Yes. They do everything.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's really amazing. You guys are asking about the kicking game. He's like, I don't know about the kicking game. That's Tyler Brown's bad. I am afraid that means he will not be getting a head coaching job. I mean, realistically, Gannon and Steichen are the ones that could. as you know, I'm not optimistic about Gannon's performance. At the same time, Gannon's performance doesn't seem to have anything to do with him being a head coaching candidate, which I don't understand.
Yeah,
I should also specify here, by the way.
He had 3 head coaching interviews last year, so this is not that bold.
I should specify this is NFL head coaching. I could do a bow and like after the fact say I meant college too, and
G.J.
Brian
Kinney.
Johnson's the coach at Utah next year. But no, I will specify NFL head coach.
NFL head coach, yeah. I mean, there seem to be so many other people kind of ahead of them, right? Like in terms of people who have been interviewing and haven't gotten jobs and seem to be close, etc. If the offense is amazing, is it going to be Steichen that gets the credit? He's calling the plays, right? So maybe people love to go with that kind of.
Plus, he's white.
That kind of thing. He is. That doesn't hurt Gannon either. I would still be surprised, and I will give it a. Just because of the Gannon interviews that already happened, I'm going to give it a 6.
Okay.
Because I would still be surprised, and I don't understand the Gannon interviews, but
well,
and I don't really understand this game. So I don't understand if I'm supposed to give predictions that I think will happen.
Yes.
I did that last year. No, I did that last year. Then I was low on everything, and so
yeah, because you picked like the Eagles score a touchdown.
So the incentive this year is to pick things that you don't think or that are unlikely to occur.
No,
Like,
these are things that I think are going to happen.
Yeah, you're supposed to pick things
calls.
that you think that I don't think will happen, but that you think will happen. Yeah. So really, the key to the game is picking things that you think are more likely than I think they are.
Yeah, so I'm much better at saying give me 6 predictions about the Eagles, and I'll give you 6 predictions. But to grade it on a scale that's completely arbitrary and rewards things for being outrageous, I went for outrageous this year.
You ask Zach for 6 predictions, he'll give you 6 predictions. You ask Zach for 6 crazy predictions, he'll give you 6 predictions.
Yeah.
It's like the
it's like the running back.
Look,
yeah.
I know it's Birds with Friends tradition to have at least one person on the show who does not want to be playing the game, and so I'm glad you guys are keeping that.
All right. Well, do you want to go on the record yourself, Deniz, with your final season predictions for the Eagles? I know I have an expectation that because there's only one thing you want to happen, that will be the thing you predict. But please go ahead.
Yeah, I think 19-1, resting starters in week 18 is probably the thing that I would say. Or I guess if you're undefeated, you're not going to rest everybody, right, and lose to the Giants. So 20-0, I guess. No, look, I'm not gonna care what I say here because I'm not gonna want it to happen more than anything better. But I think the schedule really looks like at least 12-5 to me. And I am going to, go up with that a little bit and say 13-4. And I think 13-4 could get the number 1 seed. And if it gets the number 1 seed, then, you guys are going to, where's the Super Bowl?
Arizona.
I'll be going back to Arizona. Maybe we should stay there the whole time, Zach.
I love a Scottsdale. So.
I bet you do, Panama Red. All right.
I don't know what that means.
Me neither.
Yeah, I mean that might require a Tom Brady injury or something like for it to end up really happening. But
all right,
this is the time of year that we have to be optimistic, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Sorry, I am now doing a fantasy draft that we have extended. So
he's taking Dallas Goedert in.
I'm double booking. Yes. Yeah. No, I'm taking. Who did you? I don't remember. All right.
Worst thing to happen to football.
That's right. So that'll do it for this episode of Birds with Friends. Thank you to Deniz for being so generous with your time. Zach and we will have to go on the record with our final predictions. Although I guess we did that on The Athletic earlier this week, but we will do that.
Real predictions, though.
On Friday.
Yeah, like actual predictions that we think are going to occur.
Yes. And we'll do that. And we'll see you on Friday for the new edition of Swooper. We're hoping to be joined as well by our new Lions beat reporter. Get a little peek behind enemy lines.
Hard Knock star,
Colton Pouncey.
Yeah.
And lots to get to. So for everybody, for Deniz, for the nameless student who was a Deniz fan, for Zach and Marissa, I'm Bo. Thanks for listening. For Elijah as well. We'll talk to you on Friday. And as always, we love you.